Okay, so this is the study thing I was talking about. And just to preface this, right? Um, this is mainly like for, I'm not sure, people that are like intermediate or a little more advanced that understand, like they have what they want, like their setup or whatever, their rules and stuff. But you want to study things or study a correlation of things, and you don't know how. Like, you don't know how to compile data or like what to look for or stuff. So I'm going to share one of the studies that I did, um, which was a study on OPEX, right? Because next week is OPEX week. So I figured this could be something that um, I guess I could share, you could look at, or you could even backtest even more data than I did. Because I think I did a lot, but honestly and truly, I probably should have did a little bit more than I did. But at that time, I was tired, so I kind of stopped what I was doing. But so I was struggling with. I'm gonna just scroll up. I was struggling with like OPEX and kind of like, I know, like, PW has told me, or not me, but told the group multiple times. This was back in S2F, that with OPEX weeks, or with weeks, right, you expect certain week highs or lows to form on certain days. Like, if we form a high, or if we form what you think is a high on Tuesday to Wednesday, mainly Tuesday, anticipate lower prices. And if we form a low Tuesday or Wednesday, mainly Tuesday, anticipate higher prices, right? Now, just going by that logic might get you burned, because you need like narrative and to be on the right side of price. Because if you're trying to short in a bullish trend, yeah. So I was like, okay, he's told me this, he's shown us proof, but I was like, let me actually go through and like crunch the numbers and see if I can like just prove to myself something that I already know, but just to see it. Like, if the numbers show it, then it's true, right? So this was back in like May 21st. So I had like what this thread, because this is my personal Discord, right? Like my notes. This is where I keep like all my notes and studies and stuff, journals, everything, screenshots, all of that. So this is where I was like, okay, I need to look at this now. So I said we'll be going through January of 2022 to now being May. So I technically did two studies on this, but it was combined into one. The first study was 2022, so I just went from January, February, March, April, May, right? I did those. And then I went back to 2021 and I looked at like 10 months. So all in all, I looked at like 15 months of data. Honestly and truly, I probably should have looked at like 2 years or 3 years, but I was tired, yo. These 15 months already took a lot, because I had to like figure out how to put together what I gathered, right? So I kind of did it like this. Like, this was the first week I did, and I kind of got a little better with like my questions and stuff. But I made sure to look for the same criteria every time, which was if the week was a market maker model, right? Buy or sell, whatever. Did our setup form? So that's the second question. On what day/session was the high form? This changed to on what day/session was the high or low form. Like, if it was a sell model, what day did the high form? If it was a buy model, what day did the low form? And did we run Monday's low or high by Friday? Because if it's a sell model, Sunday, Monday are gonna be like that original consolidation, and then by Friday, do we run below or above that consolidation area? So that was the key questions that I was looking for over and over and over again. Then I wanted to look at the high time frame, on the daily, respectively higher time frame, because I think this was like on the hour or something. But I looked on a daily to see if we were already in an existing model one, and if we were, what size/phase were we on. And that's just the different phases of the models, like the boxes. But I'm not gonna go into that, because you could just watch ICT stuff. But this was like week one. I did it like this. I was okay, had these things, great. And then look at the high time frame where we were, yada yada. So I did that over and over and identified what I saw. So it was just yes, no, yes, no, yes, over and over. So I'm not gonna go through those, because that's kind of redundant. But after I got all the data that I needed, it took me a minute, because you see, I say here on the 27th, I was like, okay, let's get what we got. But I actually really did it on the 4th because I was like, how the hell am I gonna put all of this together? So I just like kind of made like a rough numbering system, like a categoric system. I guess that's the way to say it. So it was like this first interval of the test trial of how I did it was, this was 2022, so that was 5 months. So each week, which is technically each month because there's only one OPEX a month, unless it's quad witch or whatever. But it was there a market maker sell model or buy model? But MMXM, the X is simply just like the variable X in math. Like when a problem says solve for X, you don't know what X is. So I just have MMXM as like MM. It could be a sell or a buy model. It's just whatever you see. So don't get confused on that. So I did that day in session, high or low, and then was the Sunday or Monday consolidation or target ran. And if my setup form, right? So I did that for that. Then I did the second set of data, which was 10 months, right? So I did that, compiled that, yada, yada, yada. Then this part, I mean, you don't really have to know this part, but this is just how I like organized it for numbers. Because once I got these numbers, I had to, I think I used a probability calculator, like a statistics probability. I tried to do a standard deviation one, but I was like, that's not really what I'm looking for. So I just did a regular statistics calculator, just Google that. But then I had to like format what I'm putting in as numbers, right? Because I can't put in MMSM, MMBM in the statistics calculator. You only have to do numbers. So I would put in all MMSMs from this study that happened as ones, MMBMs as twos. If both happen in a week, that's 3. And if it's something else, 4. Right? And I just did that for everything. So the sessions, I had those as 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s. And then the days, that was all of these percentages were after I calculated those things. So I just mainly wanted to see the model that formed and then the day, because on all of the models, on each and every single one of them that I looked at, the 15 months, they all ran Sunday or Mondays, high or low, right? And then they all had my setup. So you see with the 5 months, that happened. And then with the 10 months, all of them ran Sunday or Mondays, high or low. And then all of them had my setup. So I was like, okay, I don't need to look at that because that's already 100% chance that these models in the data that in the 15 months of data that I have, that they form my setup. So then I finally kind of put it together a little neat, like, because this was rough. So I was like, let me put this together a little neat. So I did that. Had the key just in case I forgot. But from that study, from those 15 months that I looked at, of the MMXMs buy or sell that happened with OPEX, 68% of them were sell models. So out of the 15 months, 68% of that happened. So 11 out of 16 times. This 16 was for a I think it was for a month that had both. Yeah, so you see right here, week 5, W5, it had mix, both MMXMs. I counted that as 2 examples of it. So it's 15 months of data, but the 16th time you'll see is with this 1 week where both of them happened. Like you could have looked at it both ways. You could have took a buy or a sell and been right. So that's where the 16 comes from. But so it's a higher chance statistically from the what I've gathered that those weeks will be market maker sell model weeks, right? They'll be bearish weeks. The days higher lows commonly happened Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And if you watch ICT stuff, any of his like weekly analysis videos or just any of his videos really, and he talks about how to frame out your week, you know that he says look for the weekly highs to be formed between Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at the latest. But most commonly they form on Tuesday. Tuesday is the highest chance that the higher low of the week will form, right? And then from this study, you see that of those days, which day had the highest percent of happening? Tuesday, 6 out of 16 times, with Monday right behind at 5, and then Wednesday right at 4. So this data already prove 2 things to me. So I was like, okay, OPEXs are more likely to be sell models, and then most likely the high or low of the week will form on Tuesday. So by Tuesday, you should kind of have a game plan of what the rest of the week will do. Right. The session. London was the session that made most of the highs or lows. And again, if you watch IC stuff, you know that some cases, or most of the time, London, like if you're trading short on London and it's a sell model week, that Tuesday high that London makes, that might be like the highest high of the week. So if you like hold for whatever target you have, you could basically catch like the whole move. Like London is a session that normally allows you to catch the whole move, like barring you could not get stopped out on New York sessions volatility. So this little study, this little interval of time that I looked at, 15 months, already showed what ICT has been saying has some semblance, and I mean not some semblance like we don't know, like we know what he be saying is like, oh my god, this is crazy, but like all these things are being proved with numbers. So London session 30% chance, Sunday Monday 100% chance ran, the setup 100% chance ran. So that's like a small study that I frame. Like that's how I did it. So I don't know if there's other studies that you all would want to start, but this isn't even the most recent one, but this was a one that like proved to me that okay, I kind of know what to look for with OPEX weeks, right? I have an idea of what to look for, and this wasn't even factoring in like the news on the week, like what actually was being released or what those numbers actually were or any of that. It was just price showing you it does this and it does this. It has a chance of doing this at this time or a chance of doing that at another time. So that is that's mainly what I found on that. So any questions you have, you can break it down, like if it's something that's concerning you, if it's really bugging you that much, I'm sure you can find an answer, because this was bugging me and I found an answer. But this could be applied to, like, a study could be applied to literally anything in price. Like if your model, if it's a certain model that you're looking for and you want to know what it looks like, you look for it in price. If you're a person that has to keep asking, what's a breaker? What's a breaker? What's a breaker? ICD has videos on YouTube that says breaker and market structure. I think that's the title of it. And then there's a couple others where it's sprinkled in between, but I don't really remember those. But the main one was breaker and market structure, right? There's an example of a breaker on the ES daily chart. Actually, I might as well just show y'all just to do that. This is, so all anyone that's asking like, what's this or how's that or how do you find this or that, I'm gonna show you how to find these things. Okay, so look right here, right? Actually, don't even mind that. That's actually a secret study that you're not supposed to see, but we'll be all right. So the breaker in this scenario, if it would let me, okay, thank you, great, awesome. So the breaker here, right? The breaker here is this candle, right? It's this candle. It's this candle right here. It's this candle here. I'm not gonna go into why it is, but it's this candle. It's this candle right here. This is a breaker. Okay, this is a breaker, a bearish breaker. You have a short-term high. You have a short-term low. You have a higher high, right? A higher low, a higher high, and then a lower low, right? That's a breaker. It happened there. So this ES example is from March 22nd, 2022 to April 21st, 2022. So basically a month apart. So I need anyone watching this that still doesn't know what a breaker is to highlight this portion of time, right? Just make a big old box. Remember that time, and then look at this exact time, right? From March 22nd, 2022 to April 21st, 2022. Look at that in any and every ticker that you can. Like all of these tickers, look through all of these. It don't have to be these exact ones. I'm just being an ass, but look through these tickers. Like go through all of these tickers, or if you want to keep it simple, go through SPY's top 10 holdings, and you'll see examples of breakers. You'll see example of that same breaker. Right? Okay. Cool. So that is how you could do a study on what a breaker is. find an example that's already given to you or portrayed by somebody that knows what it is, like ICT or any of his charter members or PW or Lex or whoever you want. Find that example and then look for other examples of that in price. So you have a bearish example here, and then you have a bullish example, which Lex showed, if you watch the Into the Shadows, that happened down here. So you have a bearish example here, March 22nd and April 21st, and you have a bullish example here. So then you do the same thing. You highlight that area of time, at least from like the couple touches or whatever. You highlight that area. So this area now is June 14th, 2022 to July 5th, 2022. So you have an example of a bearish breaker here, and you have an example of a, Jesus Christ, and then you have an example of a bullish breaker here. So all that you need for breakers is from those two examples. Now is where you build a price study on that. You use those two examples, you go through tickers, you find that same area, and you try to find a breaker in that area. And then you just build on that and build on that. You DM it, I don't know, post it to somebody or ask whoever, whatever, I don't care. But that's kind of how you could look for that. Like, don't leave, because I'm telling y'all, right? Like, don't have questions and then ask someone and then give you an answer and then you're like, oh, okay, that's it. Like, don't do that. You're gonna have to seek it. Like, you have to look for it and find it. And the more you see it, the better you'll be at seeing it. So seeing Lex, if she posts an example and you're like, damn, what's that? And you don't want it, screenshot it. Screenshot it, go to your chart, draw it up like how she has it, and then save it to your notes. Because it's just a reference. That's what notes are, right? You're supposed to reference off of that. I didn't mean to ramble, but I mean, that's an example of that, right? I guess I could look at another study that I did. Hold on. Okay, so I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna show the first part of this. Just I don't want to. But I'm doing a study on the Asian range and then the VIX and the ES and how that's correlated. And I'm probably gonna add in the dollar because I've been using that with the ES. But this is kind of, I'm gonna leave that so you can read it. Right? But this is kind of how I'm doing this study, like using the side-by-side option on TradingView and then seeing the inverse correlation between what the ES, this left chart, has done, which is a sell model, and then what the VIX did in that time, which was a buy model, right? And just seeing, does that correlate all the time? And okay, so seeing these two main phases and then going through each phase of these, so going from this green box to this black box here to this red box to this green box, going through each of those on a lower time frame with the Asian ranges to see if I can see what's up, if I can see any coincidences or any correlations with it so I could use it. I'm not finished with this yet because it's actually harder than I thought to compile the data, but I'm doing that with the VIX, and then I'm probably going to start something similar to this with the dollar and the ES. Like, not really, on a higher time frame, sure, but I mainly use it for like lower time frame scalping. But hopefully this gives you an idea of like what a price study is and how to use it. Use it on any and all concepts that you're currently studying. It doesn't even have to be like stock related stuff. It could just be outside things like in your job or whatever. Like, I don't know, but I use it for price studies on ICT stuff. Like, in fact, your Discord notes, right? Your Discord notes are all, this is all studies on stuff. Like, your Discord notes are all things that you need to that you want to know or that you're trying to know. So this is it. I'm probably not gonna do another video like this, but just something to look at, I guess. With OPEX, I did 15 months, but if you want, you could do 20 months or 25 months or 50 months. Like, as much data as you want or need, you can do that. But that's just what I did. That's how I thought about it. Anything I'm curious on, like any questions that I have for myself, I just type it in here as like a bookmark to look at later, and then when I have the capacity to look at it, then I look at it. So I think that's everything I have. Y'all stay safe, stay blessed, and that's it. That's all I got.